Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dream Big, Pray Hard, Never Quit. Excuse me. Today we have with us Daniel Novotny, a recent college grad from Illinois State with a degree in physical education. So you want to be a PE teacher, is that correct?
Yes, I do.
Well, you know what? I think teaching is a wonderful career to go into. The reason I say that is because most people know I am a teacher and I absolutely love what I do. But let me tell you this little quick story about me and Daniel. Daniel actually lives in, is it Chicago or a suburb of Chicago?
In the suburbs of Chicago.
Okay. And you're like, how in the world we got someone in Chicago? A young man like Daniel. Well, Daniel's family, mom and dad and his sister, and then Marjorie and I met on a cruise to the Bahamas. And we had an absolute blast. I think we were with you guys every day. We just kind of hit it off. And you were going into your senior year of high school, I believe, when we met. And I remember going back to the cabin going, that kid thinks I'm an absolute crazy individual because he's looking at me like, is this guy for real? He's just doing, whatever he wants, says whatever he wants. He's just out here having a good time. And Marjorie's like, yeah, he probably doesn't think you're all there. But I had a great time, and you go on something like that, and I've heard stories of people. Yeah, we met someone on this cruise. We stayed in touch with them, and that's exactly what happened with us and our families. Is we just kind of stayed in touch with each other, and has it been 4 or 5 years?
5 years.
5 years, man.
Yeah.
I got to get on another cruise.
Oh, we
Marge
got.
and I were thinking about it, but this whole COVID thing kind of put a damper
Oh yeah.
cruise thing. So, Daniel, I've talked enough. I'm going to go ahead and let you tell your story. And I want to let everyone know I pick recent college grads, sometimes recent high school grads, because I want people to know the story of what's it like graduating high school and then making those adult decisions for the first time of, okay, what's my career going to be? How am I going to get there? What's the journey like? And, a lot of high school kids will watch this one because I taught high school and they kind of follow what I do, which is great. And thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Um, but I want them to see what it's like and what those decisions are like and the thought process. That all makes sense?
Yeah.
All right, Daniel. Now, look, I'm going to interrupt you several times because that's just what I like doing. So you go ahead and go. And then when I feel like, oh, let me throw this in there, I'll throw my 2 cents in there. So go.
All right. So really, just throughout my entire life, I was a big sports fan growing up. So I was playing sports, and then until high school, played my freshman and sophomore year, and then really my story starts beginning or middle of my junior year where I didn't make the basketball team. And so I was working with that, and I was offered kind of an assistant coach role with the freshman team. So I worked with that for 2 years, and from that point on, I just wanted to be a coach.
All right. So what did it feel like? Because this happens a lot. What was that like not making the team? There's a lot of high school students out there that will see this and go, okay, so after his sophomore year, he didn't make the basketball team. And so you went into coaching a management position. I mean, what was it? How did that transition go? How were you able to do that? Because I'm going to tell you, some people are just going to go, I didn't make the team. I'm just going to back away and get away from everything. But you didn't do that.
Yeah. So going into the tryouts, I was fairly confident. I was doing stuff in the fall. I was doing different camps. I was attending every single workout. So I was really pushing myself to get there. I knew I wasn't the best, but I thought maybe I could slip on at the end. And then just in the meeting, the coach just acknowledged all the work I put in throughout, and then just offered me that spot right away. And it was normally he'd just offer a manager role for the varsity team. So it's just a small hands-on kind of thing.
Right.
The fact that he opened up more of a assistant coaching role for the freshmen, kind of just showed his trust in me, and a place where I could work with the program. So I stayed in that role for 2 years.
That's awesome. Good.
And then, yeah, from that point on, I really wanted to go into coaching and I wanted to stay with basketball. So what got me to Illinois State was there was a managing position with the basketball team there. So like I knew from that point I wanted to go. I wanted to stick with that. So I started with that my freshman year.
So you started with the managing your freshman year with the
I
basketball team.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, how did you get into that? Because I mean, you don't just go to college and say, "Hey, I want to be a manager." I mean, there had to be a process, and what was that process like?
Yeah, so it actually worked out great. So my aunt knew the head coach of LaSalle at the time out in
Okay,
Philadelphia. So there was one weekend in the October of my senior year of high school where me and my dad went out there, saw all the schools, and it turns out from recruiting trips, he had a connection with Coach Moore at Illinois State. So he got in contact with him and arranged a time for me and my dad to go to a practice at ISU.
all right.
And so from that point, I was able to talk to one of the assistant coaches and then the current managers and get my foot in the door that way. And they offered me the spot that day.
All right. So you know, and this is important because I want people, I want young people to understand this. You know, sometimes it's who you know that helps you get your foot in the door.
Yep.
And because I used to tell my kids all the time in class, don't burn bridges because you never know when you're going to need that person again. And I think that's great that your dad helped you out, you know, and he didn't burn that bridge, and it ended up helping you get in a position. And that's what parents do. That's what we want to do. But you never burn a bridge because you never know when that person can turn around and help you. And that's
Right.
exactly what happened. So awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So then got started with that. As soon as I got on, like I went to a summer camp the summer before my senior year, which just secured the spot. And then I started with that in the fall. And then it wasn't until my spring semester of my in first year of college where I declared PE as my manager. I came in
And I'm sorry, when was that again? Your
spring semester of my freshman year.
okay, so
I
you
went,
kind of knew right away that you were going to do something in
yeah.
physical education. Okay.
Illinois State is a very good education school. So like I came in with the idea that I wanted to teach because initially I just wanted to teach and coach.
Right.
Route was going to go coaching, and then like teaching was going to be a big backup plan. So like initially my whole thought was I'm just going to get an education degree backup in case coaching doesn't work. So then
Okay. So
I figured
your
out
your whole point was I want to coach.
yes.
Okay.
And then in the spring I figured out that PE was the position I wanted. So I was able to declare that and then go on from there.
All right. So you took your, I guess they used to call it general college courses.
Yeah.
So your first 2 years were, I always call it like an extended high school.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You just continue to take English, math, and all the other stuff for 2 years. And then you really don't get into your major until your junior year. I mean, you might be
Right.
able to take 1 or 2 courses here and there. But let's talk about that journey of school. Um, so you graduate high school, you get into college, you declare your major. All right, it sounds all nice and easy, but you had to go through 4 years of college.
Oh yeah.
Um, and college isn't easy.
Right.
Tell us about that. I mean, were you up late? What is it, to get your physical education degree? Tell us about some of the tough times.
Yeah. So the gen eds were really interesting to start because like Illinois State's a school of 23,000. So like I was walking into classes the first day and there was like 300 people in them.
Yeah, in a big auditorium, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I remember that. I remember doing that at ECU. Like, okay, I'm a number.
Exactly. It was like, I just tried to find a place to sit, and I'm like, all right, they don't care if we don't show up because they're just not taking attendance. So it was just weird, just not having a connection with the professor right away.
Yeah, because that is when you go to a big school right off the bat.
Yeah.
That is that's kind of I'm trying to find the good word that it's amazing is not the good word, but you walk into this room that holds 300 people and the professor's at the bottom in like a pulpit,
Mhm.
and you're just sitting and you're like, okay, um, what do I do here?
Right.
Because you're not used to being in a room with 300 people and they're teaching you.
Right.
Yeah, I remember that. And I think my first class I had like that was biology, and I got a D.
Hmm.
I
Oh yeah. Let's say
hope you did better than that.
fall semester freshman year, I did amazing, surprisingly. And then, as I say, spring semester was not too hot. So it was, I think it was a little overconfidence and then a little more difficult classes. But it was just weird, like not building that connection with the professor there. And then really until I got into the major, until my major classes, I didn't have a connection with my professor.
By then, the classes got smaller, didn't they?
Yeah, like they say my major classes were great.
Yeah.
Like they say, I had such a fun time with the people in my classes because it was like the same like core group going from class to class with each other. And then we're PE majors, so we want to be active. So it's like if we have a class at 10 and a class at 1, like we're hooping in the middle.
Right.
Like we found our teaching gym and we're playing 5-on-5, and the teachers are coming in laughing at us. And they're like, "You guys." And
um,
then the teacher at 1 o'clock realizing why we're all sweaty coming into their class, and it's like,
and you're stinking the whole class up. Yeah, that's nice.
I don't know if they were a big fan of it. They just like to see us active though.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good. Um, so one of the secrets to going to a big school is get through the first 2 years.
Yes.
And that's a struggle because you're not really doing what you want to do. You're doing all the things that you're doing, the requirements that are just kind of like high school. And be honest with you, they kind of suck.
Right. Oh yeah.
You know, they do. Until you get to your junior year, it doesn't really get fun and interesting because you're doing the same thing just at a higher level that you did in high school.
Right.
So anyone out there going to a major university, a big school, no, get through the first 2 years. It gets better, but really it's an extension of high school, your first 2 years. So
Yeah.
get ready for that.
I say the one thing that like really helped me through my first couple of years or the first 2 years, like it wasn't rough at all. But it was like I had the basketball team.
Right.
So it was like I was going from classes and I was sticking with the basketball. Like I'd go right from class to basketball, and I'd come back and get my studies on. So it was like
So, and it was fun. That made it more fun.
I loved it. And then it was like, I mean, I always looked up to it because it was like I remember in my freshman class, I forgot what class it was. I had like the 6'10" center who was in the class with me who like walked in like right as class started. And so like I'd always like look for him and like I wave and then I'd like look around to feel like, all right, who just saw that?
Well, it's kind of miss.
Maybe
I
me.
mean, you said you're looking around looking for him. That he's kind of hard to miss.
Yeah. Well, it was like, do I want to pay attention to the professor who's like starting class up, or do I want to see him in because he didn't get there early?
Oh yeah.
It was right when the time went off that he was walking in the class.
um. So, what did you do as a manager your first couple years? And are there steps in management? Did you do one thing and then, as you got used to doing it, you did something else?
Yeah. So first couple of years, first 2 years, it was more like video and like kind of stats related. So
Right.
there's a lot of the practices where because we filmed and then we did stats for every single practice. So like there was most of my freshman and sophomore years were spent upstairs filming and then doing the stats for each practice.
Now, how well did you enjoy that? Was it kind of like, yeah, it's a means to an end, or did you really enjoy it?
I actually loved it. I think
Okay.
let's say I volunteered to do the stats quite often. But I think one, I was the only manager that actually liked it.
Yeah.
And I just enjoyed doing it, and it just like really got me to focus more on the team itself without actually being down there. I love.
I go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Go for it.
I want to go ahead and point something out, and I want to make sure this point is not missed in this. So instead, you didn't make the high school team,
Yeah.
but instead of giving up, you end up being an assistant coach for the freshman team at your high school,
Mhm.
and then you go to school, and now you're a manager for the basketball team.
Yes.
So you're still in a sport that you love. Maybe not the capacity that you were hoping to be in, but now you're still around it and you're still loving what you do.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
See, and that's what Dream Big, Pray Hard, Never Quit is all about. Okay, because I wanted to be an NFL football player, but they don't have much use for a 5'10", 221-pound person in the NFL as a lineman. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Now I'm much more than 220 now, so let's make that was back in the day. Um, but you know, I like the fact that you didn't give up. You found a different avenue to go into sports.
Right.
So okay, yeah, I might not make it this way, but you know what? I can make it this way.
Yeah.
And that's phenomenal, especially at your age, because a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people will just go, I got cut, I'm done. I'm not going to do this, and really hold a grudge.
Yeah.
Really just hold a grudge and say, I don't like this, forget it. And then just kind of let it build up and then just not like basketball anymore. But you didn't do that. I like that. Okay. So we're in your junior year. Now what? Now what are we doing management wise?
So that was my first year of being one of the head managers. So there's four guys that were considered the head, which means we got a scholarship money for what we were doing. So like the
Good
head
job.
man-
I know mom and dad were happy.
oh yeah. I say the head managers get to split 30 credit hours each semester. So my junior year I had 3 hours paid for each semester.
Okay.
Then what that means, like I have to get more, or I didn't have to. I did get more involved with like behind the scenes stuff,
Right.
up more travel opportunities.
Oh, well, that had to be fun.
Yes, that was the highlight of that one. Was we got to go to TCU,
Okay. That's actually, isn't that close? Is that Tennessee? Where is that?
Texas Christian. So it was in.
Texas Christian. Because ECU plays them.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, where is that at? Okay.
Yeah, we got to fly into Dallas for that one. So that was a lot of fun.
Now, did you travel a lot with them your senior year as well, or?
Yeah. So senior year, so junior year I was the number 4 of 4 for head managers.
Okay.
Junior and senior year, those three left. So I was number 1. So like all the other managers like reported to me, I was in charge of all of them. So like every single trip I got to go on,
Oh,
except
that's awesome.
except for one where I couldn't miss student teaching because they scheduled the game for a Monday.
Right.
And they shot me down on that. But of course, they say COVID ruined a couple of the opportunities for travel though.
Yeah. How did COVID affect that this year? I mean, you're going into your senior year. It's basketball. Thank God you got to play. And I have a story about that as well. But I think you know the story I'm getting ready to tell you too. About how did it shorten the season? Did you not play as much? What happened there?
So we pushed it back a little bit, but we did get like it cut our non-conference down a little bit, but it wasn't too much. But we also couldn't fly anywhere, so every game we went to was bus.
Oh,
But
wow.
so going into the season, we were all hyped because we had a Thanksgiving tournament that we were going to stay at an all-inclusive resort in Cancun. We were like, all right, like this is going to be great. It's going to be so easy on us. Like we're not going to provide food or snacks to the players at all. And then that got pushed to Florida. We're like, all right, that still works. And then we opted out of that and ended up in Columbus, Ohio. So it was like, so instead of going to a resort in Mexico, we were taking a 5.5 hour bus to Columbus for Thanksgiving week.
Yeah, COVID has done some horrible things for sports, and that's got to be. I mean, I'm glad you all got to play, but
Oh, yeah.
uh, being uh, in a resort would have been much better, I'm sure.
Oh, definitely. I say it didn't help that we lost to Ohio State by 30 in our first game of the season too.
Yeah, yeah, that doesn't help at all, at all. Yeah, it was a long bus ride home, I'm sure.
Oh, we had to stay a couple days because we played the day before Thanksgiving, and then we played that Saturday in Columbus again. So like we had to stay Thursday, Friday in Columbus at the hotel, just doing like various activities. Keep
Yeah.
us busy.
Okay. So you're the head honcho for the managers your senior year, which is pretty cool. So you're in charge of everything, like the equipment manager, getting everything ready for the trip. I mean, everything kind of goes through you.
Right. I said we had a
Wow.
different guy for equipment. So like
Okay.
our equipment manager was a paid position, so I didn't have to do too much with that.
Okay. Okay.
The rest of the manager responsibilities I was overseeing for the most part.
Okay. So now you're graduating,
Yes.
and your next step is, of course, hey, you know what? I want to coach now. I mean, I've seen it. I have learned a whole lot of stuff. And I know right now you're in the process. I think of looking. So, are you looking to coach right away?
So
And at
actually,
what level?
I say actually like more during my senior year, like throughout the season, throughout like the highs and lows of it, and then throughout my student teaching experience, I kind of fell away from coaching. I
Okay.
fell more
Okay.
into teaching. So like
Okay.
my whole initial plan of college was that I was going to be a graduate assistant at some other college right after I graduated, and then just go college coaching route. But then once student teaching hit, and I loved that, and then I kind of fell away from coaching. I've been looking for teaching jobs, and I'll just coach where I'm at.
Okay.
So
That's
the teaching job is definitely preferred right now.
and that's great because I'm going to be honest. Not a lot of coaches say that. A lot of coaches are like, I teach so I can coach.
Yeah.
Um, but I love teaching. And that's not taken away from my coaching either. I love coaching just as much as
Mhm.
I love teaching. And it's very good to have teachers come up and have that balance,
Yeah.
to where they love teaching just as much as they love coaching. And I can tell you, just from my experience, you're going into a career that is, I absolutely love it.
Hmm.
Now, I spent 24 years in a totally different career, and that might be why I love it so much because, I didn't have my summers off, my evenings off. I traveled a lot, so I did a whole lot of different things. But the connection that you're going to
Right.
make with these kids is lifelong,
Oh yeah.
and they will remember you. You might not remember them,
Hmm.
but they will remember you, which is kind of cool. And I'm going to tell you, I like going somewhere and the kids see me and, hey, Coach Allen, fist bumping each other. And, they get to see my wife, or if I'm with my kids or something. It's a good feeling.
Oh yeah.
You're going into a good career. That's something I think you're really going to love. And coaching is just kind of the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
So are you looking, I'm assuming you're looking at coaching basketball. Anything else?
I played baseball up until I was 18, so that's definitely a possibility. Yeah. But basketball is my main sport. So.
Um, and the beautiful thing about, now, is it going to be, I'm assuming you're certified in uh, middle school through high school, or K through 12?
My degree is K through 12.
K through 12. Okay. So you can get hired anywhere, which is pretty
Yeah.
good. Um, what are you looking to coach? Is it just anything at the time, for like when I'm talking about like middle school, or are you trying to go right into high school?
Honestly, it really depends on where the job is at. Like
Okay.
I'm not really too picky on where I'm at. I'm just like trying to find it more just like closeness to home or closest to campus. So it's really just going to be what's available at the job I get at this point,
So
especially.
what's that process like? And I'm asking you that for, okay, right now there's a lot of college graduates out there looking for jobs.
Yes.
And these people that are in college now are getting ready to go into college. They need to know, what's that process like? What are you doing to find that job that you want?
Yeah. So I'm looking at, there's different job boards that just post different PE jobs and they get updated like as soon as a job gets posted. So there's like three main ones that I check. And it's like I go on there, I check if they're close to me, if it's one I'd be interested in. And then all the applications are online,
Okay.
which has been really nice. So it's like they all use the same software. So like the first application probably took about 30-ish minutes. And then since then I could just import that into the rest of them. So really applications are taking me under 5 minutes.
Okay.
As long as it's the same questions. I just
So
import.
now I've got to ask, how many applications have you put out?
I'd probably say I'm at least at 20.
At 20. How many schools have you heard back from?
I was hot at the beginning. I'd probably say about 8, maybe.
8. Well, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yes. And it's also like we're told with the online applications that you're supposed to erase something and then submit it right back. It's just so like every time you resubmit it, your name appears at the top.
It's top.
So it's like you just go into a random paragraph, erase the period, put the period back in, resubmit.
So they
Right.
keep seeing it. But that's really cool that you say that, because I mean, you're now at a point where you're an adult.
Yes.
You've got to find an adult job. You're making adult decisions, and mom and dad, as much as they're helping, they're probably also pushing you.
Right.
Look, Daniel, you're a grown man now. Look, Daniel, this. Look, Dan, and I know your parents are very good people, but I've had to do that same thing with my girls. Look, you know, time to grow up. Get out of my house. Now, I'm sure they didn't say that.
Like I said, they want me to stay here. So
Oh, I can't wait to get rid of my kids. I'm joking, girls. I'm joking. I'm joking. Uh, um, but good. I wanted people to know what that process is, because it's not easy. You don't just graduate college and go, here I am, hire me. It's
right.
your lucky day.
Oh yeah. I had a couple that like I just got beat out by much more like uh, just much more deserving candidates. Like there was one I had a middle school job I was interviewing for, and it was hour-long interview on a Zoom with like 5 other people.
Yeah.
And so I'm talking there, goes great. Then the principal calls me the next week, and this is at a middle school. Principal calls me the next week. He's like, "We were very impressed by the interview. Like you showed a lot of great energy. But like we went to another route. Guy who has 18 years of teaching experience, a
Yeah.
master's in PE, and he's going to be our varsity football coach." I'm like, I just
And that happens. Now I'm going to say, and it's going to depend on the state you're in, okay? Because different states pay different things, different opportunities, and stuff like that. So I'm in North Carolina. We are in desperate need of teachers. Why? Because North Carolina doesn't pay teachers extremely well. They're working on it. And teaching in North Carolina is, you've got to put up with a lot. And I love what I do. So I don't want to air this and someone say, what do you mean you got to put up with a lot? You're fired. No, it's more of it's not a local thing as much. It's more at a state level,
Mhm.
To where your state Congress and stuff is making the decisions, not at the school level.
Yeah.
And so they've got some work to do in order to pay the teachers more. And I'm just going to give you one example. I was one of the lucky ones. I came in with my master's and an advanced degree, and I got paid for those. Right now, like a year or two after I started teaching, they took master's pay away. So if you have a master's degree in North Carolina, you don't get paid extra money.
Wow.
Exactly. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about.
Right.
Which is kind of odd. Now, they do pay more for national boards, and which is great. I'm glad they do that. But we've actually even had other states come in and try to take some of our teachers away from North Carolina because they pay more. Now, I don't know what Chicago is like or what Illinois is like. Is it hard to get a job as a teacher because it's looked at differently? Do they pay more? I think the starting salary here is like 35,000.
Yeah. So it's higher in Illinois.
Yeah,
The
but the
struggle,
cost of living is, I'm sure, much higher too.
yeah. So like the struggle that like even like our coordinators kind of said right now is like the jobs you'll see at the beginning are the ones they're looking for experienced teachers. So you're gonna have those teachers leave their current jobs and
Right.
fill those, and then once those jobs open, then they'll take the first year, like
And
recent.
that's going to be later in the summer.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like I say, I've been fortunate to have a couple interviews already, Like I know a couple people that just haven't yet. And just knowing that I like, it's not like teaching could all of a sudden say you start in 2 weeks. Like
Right.
you're not starting until August. So the fact that I just have a couple interviews at this point, I feel very fortunate for that.
And I think that's great. And I also want to mention that when you're talking about those interviews, you never know when that principal that you're interviewing with will know of another opportunity and call the principal at another school and say, look, I didn't hire this guy, but the only reason I didn't was because this guy had 18 years in.
Yeah.
Look, if it wasn't for him, I would have hired this guy. You might want to call him.
Hmm.
I've known teachers to get hired like that.
Right.
We didn't hire you, but let me give your name to someone else. So, as encouragement to you and others out there, when you go interview for a job, especially in teaching, you're not just interviewing for that job. You're interviewing for all the jobs in that county, because if your interviews are good enough, that principal is going to say, "Hey, look, I just had this interview with this person. You might want to check them out."
Right.
Um, so always put your best foot forward. And I know you do, but everyone out there that's listening, always put your best foot forward, because you never know what that interview can lead to. It might not lead to that job, but it could lead to the job of your dreams.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
Daniel, I want to point out one more thing, because I don't want this to get lost. Is I love the fact you didn't give up on your dream, or you took your dream of playing basketball, realized, okay, you know what, I might not be able to play, but I can take this in a different avenue.
Hmm.
And that's exactly what you did. And in that avenue, you found the love for teaching.
Yeah.
And now you get to teach and coach. So the coaching is kind of like the icing on the cake. You're going to be able to do two things that you absolutely love. How many people in America, and I'm dead serious here, how many people in America do you think actually get up and go to work every day and love what they do?
I don't know. I don't think too many,
Yeah,
honestly.
not many, not many. And you're going to be one of the few. And you're doing it at a very young age. I didn't do it till I was 43.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm glad I made those changes, but I'm glad you found out so young. And what's going to happen is you're going to find other dreams now that you want to achieve as you get into teaching and do all the things that you want to do. It's going to be great to watch and see you grow over these next 10 years. 10 years, good gracious, you'll be what, 30 something?
In 10 years, 32.
I'll be 60. 60. I'm getting old, but I look good, don't I? I look good
Oh,
for
really
for
great.
50.
Well,
Little gray there, but here, if I do that, it looks better. Here, we'll go
there
like
you
that.
go. That's great.
Hey, Daniel, thank you so much for joining us. I love the story. I love your insight. I love the fact that you were willing to come in on this video series and help out other young people. And remember, everyone out there, to always dream big, pray hard, never quit.